Hey everyone, thank you for joining again. So, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at Small Building 2012 and we're going to take a look at the introduction. So, first of all, the introduction of Small Building Code Building Code 2012. This course is designed to help individuals understand the requirements for the Ontario Building Code that apply to Small Building 2012. Now, you might ask the question, what is Small Building 2012? So take your time and turn to Division A, Part 1, Compliance and General. Under this section, we have 1.1.2.4, Application of Part 9. So, Small Building 2012 fall under Part 9, and this is what it covers. So, 3 or fewer stories in building height. Building area not exceeding 600 meters square, with major occupancy classified as Group C, residential occupancy, other than. The term other than, buildings used for retirement homes. So retirement home does not fall under Group C occupancy. Group D, business and personal services occupancy. Group E, mercantile occupancy, or Group F, Division 2 and 3, medium hazard industrial occupancy and low hazard industrial occupancy. Now let's look at the exam. If you're planning to write the MMAH exam, this is something you should take into consideration. By passing the Small Building 2012 examination, this will permit you to qualify for House 2012. But make sure to click both the Small Building 2012 and House 2012 upon registration for the MMAH exam, so you would not be eligible to stamp House 2012 designs. Now, what is the Building Code? Building Code set minimum requirements providing fire protection, accessibility, public health, and structural sufficiency. Please note, it is not a design textbook. The OBC just specify minimum standards. Now, with that being said, let's look at the organization of the code. 9 point, Part 9, 9.10, Section 9.10.10.7, Articles. Please note, I am not using the term 9, 10, 10, 7 or 910, 10, 7. The way how it's pronounced, or the terms you use when you specify in the building code, is 9.10.10.7.1, and the list goes on. Now let's look at a table of content. Under the table of content of the building code, there's a few divisions there. First of all, you have the Building Code Act. When you're doing the legal exam, and I will touch on this in future videos, you must focus on the Building Code Act as well as Division C and Division A. For now, I'm just going to give you an overall view of everything. Under the Building Code, there are divisions. Division A, Division B, Division C. Remember those divisions. Under each division, there are subdivisions, or what we call parts. So Part 1, Compliance and General. Part 2, Objectives. Part 3, Functional Statements. Same thing. Under Division B, you have Part 3, Fire Protection, Occupancy Safety and Accessibility. Part 9, Housing and Small Buildings. Division C, you have Part 3, Qualification, and so on. Please pause for a moment, like the video, subscribe. Ontario Building Code Objectives. What are Ontario Building Code objectives? So, objectives of the code are broken down into a series of categories and subcategories of the building code. So, objectives have their own categories, so as safety, health, accessibility, and etc. While sub-objectives For safety is fire safety, safety in use, and etc. All of these that are listed here. Health have all of these that are listed here, so indoor condition, noise protection, etc. Accessibility falls under objective, have two sub-objectives, and that's barrier-free path of travel and barrier-free facilities. I hope you get the understanding of how this table projects itself. Now, code amendment history. I just wanted to give you a little bit of history. Now, the first building code was issued in 1975. Now, the 1975 and subsequent editions of the building code has been issued as follows, and so it is until November 2nd, 2012. Interpretations, definitions, and roles. So under the Building Code Act, as specified here, Building Code Act, you will see definitions or terms that may be used, so as building. What does building means? You may also see terms such as what does, you will also see under this, you will see what is a contractor, what is a builder, what does all of these terms mean. Now, roles of individuals. What are the roles of individuals? Under the Building Code Act, you will see, or you will, once you start reading the Act, you will be able to grasp knowledge on what does the building inspector does, what does the CBO does, what does the RCA does, and the list goes on. Now you might hear me saying the term CBO. CBO means Chief Billing Official. RCA means Registered Code Agency. Just take those into consideration for now. They will be found in the Building Code Act. Now let's look at 1.3.1.2, farm buildings. Except as provided in sentence 3, farm buildings shall conform to the requirements in CCBFC NRC 38732 National Building Code of Canada. Please note, farm buildings are to be dealt with under this code. They are not, or they do not fall under the Ontario Building Code. Please note. What size and occupancy falls under this requirements of farm building? So farm building of low occupancy, not more than 600 meters square and not more than 3-story in building height, shall comply to CCBFC. Now let's do some distinguishing here. How do we distinguish from and, or, and both and, or together? So let's look at and. So farm buildings of low occupancy as read, it would say not more than, so the farm building must be not more than 600 meters square and not more than 3-story height in building height. So I hope that's clear. Meaning it must follow both requirements. So it must be 600 meters square and not more than 3-story in height. Let's look at the or sign, for example, now. In 9.9.11.1 under sign and application, if you take your time and pause the video and turn to this part in the Ontario Building Code, you will see this subsection apply to all exit except those serving a house or an individual dwelling unit. So or means it could serve one of the two. Also keep note of the except. Okay, that's a very important thing. Except and or not more than, so all of those things you must keep in at the back of your mind every time you're reading the building code. Now let's distinguish and or. If you turn to 3.2.2.21, you will see this note under Group A, Division 1, under that heading. I'm just going to read D for you. It is not more than 600 meters square in building area, and the occupancy load is not more than 600. Again, you have or, and I just kind of identify how this could be listed into and or and. Now let's look at section 1.4 in the Building Code Act, terms and abbreviation. Very important. Where do you find this? Section 1.4 of the Act. Now 1.4.1, definition of words and phrase. Sometimes when you're reading the building code, you might see words like access to exit in the italic form. It's slanted. It's written just like this. Or basement, or house, or even occupancy. It's written in a funny kind of way. That means that when you read those words, it has a specific meaning. And in order for you to find that meaning, you turn to the Building Code Act. As for example, basement. Basement means one or more stories in a building located below the first story. Questions. Can the architect stamp for a small building 2012 issued by a designer who designed a farm building be used according to the Building Code Act 1.2.1.3? What does building height means? What are the roles of a building inspector? What are the roles of a chief building official, CBO? And then it says unsafe building. What does inspector of unsafe building 9.91 means? With that being said, thank you very much for watching. The answer to these questions will be in the next video. Stay tuned. Hope to see you in the next video. Enjoy. Goodbye.